Responses that were filed today, and we begin with the IEBC chair, Guliye and Chebukati. And in his affidavit, he said that he followed the law to the letter. In his reply, he noted that the final results he announced cannot be impeached as they were fair, transparent and accurate. Narrating the events that occurred at Bomas of Kenya, IEBC chair Guliye and Chebukati said that he was visited by Rafael Tuju and Charity Ngilu on the 13th of August, appearing to discredit the verification process. He further mentioned that at 3 a.m. on the 15th of August, Rafael Tuju, Wako and advocate Kialo Mbobu visited Guliye and Chebukati, indicating that they had made several attempts to see him and discuss the tallying and of results. Now, IEBC chair Guliye and Chebukati narrates that he insisted on meeting them in the presence of all commissioners. Though advocate Kialo Mbobu did not make any remarks in the meeting, Rafael Tuju indicated to them that it was necessary for the results to be moderated in favor of Azimio presidential candidate Raila and that any contrary declaration of results would plunge the country into chaos. Now, according to the affidavit, Rafael Tuju suggested an alternative, that in the event it was not possible to declare the Azimio presidential candidate, the commission should force a runoff. It is claimed that Wako told the commission they should not operate in vacuum and it must consider the link between the election results and the stability of the country. It is said that Wako further indicated that during his tenure as the Attorney General, he was the election supervisor and would moderate results guided by the need to achieve law and stability. Now, Chebukati added that a delegation from the National Security Advisory Committee equally met with the commission and got a call from the head of public service. Now, let's take a look at the other commissioner who filed the response today, who is Guliye. On his part, he equally recounted the same event as the IEBC chair, Guliye and Chebukati, mentioning those part of the National Security Advisory Committee delegation, which included Principal Administrative Secretary from the Office of the President, Kennedy Kihara. Then we equally had Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto, Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai, and Vice Chair of Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Francis Ogola. Now, according to the affidavit, the meeting, which happened at 2 p.m. on the 15th of August, cautioned the commissioners that chaos will erupt if the presidential candidate William Ruto was declared president-elect. According to Guliye's affidavit, 4 commissioners supported the adoption of the communication. Vice Chair Juliana Cherera suggested the manipulation of votes, moving 233,211 votes from William Ruto to the rejected ballots category. IEBC Chair Guliye and Chebukati indicated that the oath of office required fidelity to the Constitution. It's equally good to note that Guliye did mention that the 27 constituencies had been tallied and verified, and that he was going to announce those 27 constituencies before the fracas ensued at the auditorium of the Bomas of Kenya. Now, another commissioner who equally filed a response today was Francis Wanderi, and what he did indicate in his affidavit is that Chebukati usurped their constitutional role of verifying and tallying the results and went ahead to announce the presidential election winner without following the due procedure. Now, Wanderi said on August 15th, a few hours to the presidential results announcement, Chebukati called them to a meeting at the Bomas of Kenya boardroom, and between 1:20 p.m. and 4:20 p.m., Chebukati constantly walked in and out of the boardroom, kept them waiting, and eventually walked back into the boardroom and read to them his own final results. Now, the affidavit further states that Chebukati further requested, now the other commissioner that is requested to discuss and understand how the final tally was arrived at, Chebukati refused to entertain any discussions from them, and therefore IEBC chair then retreated and came back with a copy of the document he was reading the tallies from, and each commissioner was given a copy. Chebukati then proceeded to the auditorium, and that's when he declared William Ruto as president-elect. Now, the Attorney General Kihara Kariuki equally filed his response today, and in that filing, he did mention that he did not oppose the petition in pursuant to Rule 11 of 2 of Supreme Court Presidential Election Petition Rules from the 2017. So that are some of the responses that were filed today at the Supreme Court. But I want us to take a look at another story now. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati and Commissioners Boya Molu, as well as Professor Abdi Yacob Guliye, have revealed that the last 15 hours ahead of the announcement of William Ruto as president-elect were characterized by intimidations, threats, and attempts by some powerful individuals to interfere with the pending announcement of the presidential election's winner. Now, through their respective sworn affidavits to the Supreme Court, the three cited 2 meetings where they were summoned and told to announce Raila Odinga as the president-elect. And as David Mudoka reports, the trio admitted to calling the presidential election before results from all constituencies were formally announced at Bomas.
As the deadline for the filing of respective responses to the petitions lodged challenging President-elect William Ruto's victory beckoned, IEBC Commissioner Abdi Yacob Guliye arrived at the Supreme Court sub-registry minutes past 4 p.m. on Saturday.
To tell you, the story is there.
With him were bundles and bundles of papers containing not only his response but also responses of IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati, Commissioner Boya Molu, as well as the IEBC. Within the responses were sworn affidavits by each of the three where, in a damning revelation, they refuted claims that they bungled the just concluded presidential election. Going on the offensive, Chebukati, Guliye and Molu have instead accused some Azimio leaders as well as some top government officials of attempting to interfere with the election, especially in the last 15 hours before the winner was announced. In the affidavits, the three commissioners say that the first attempt was made at 3 a.m. on the 15th of August when Azimio Executive Director Raphael Tuju, outgoing Busia Senator Amos Wako, and lawyer Chalombobu requested to meet the entire commission. All 7 complied, and in the meeting, the three commissioners say that Tuju indicated that it was very necessary for the results to be moderated in favor of Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga, and that any contrary declaration would plunge the country into chaos. In the event it was not possible, they say Tuju asked them to force a runoff. While the three say they maintain that they would respect the will of the people, they have claimed that 4 commissioners, Justus Nyang'aya, Juliana Cherera, Francis Wanderi, and Irene Masit, agreed to Tuju's remarks. In the second attempt, the 3 commissioners have said that they were asked to convene a brief meeting with a team from the National Security Advisory Committee. They say the meeting was held at 2 p.m., hours to the announcement, where they met Kennedy Kihara, the Principal Administrative Secretary at the Office of the President, Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai, Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto, and Vice Chief of Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Francis Ogola. They say the 4 insisted that they had a special message which read, if they declared William Ruto as president-elect, the blood of dead Kenyans will be on their hands and that they will be held responsible. The 3 say they stated that the announcement will be in accordance to the law, even as the other 4 commissioners said they will consider the quote-unquote special message. Chebukati, Guliye and Molu say that the 4 other commissioners were so determined to facilitate the interference of the final tally that Commissioner Masit suggested they move 233,211 votes from Ruto to the rejected ballots category to force a runoff. The three commissioners have, however, admitted to announcing the national presidential election results before results from some 27 constituencies were announced, citing chaos instigated by some Azimio leaders minutes to the announcement of the presidential result, saying in the affidavits that two of them were left nursing injuries. They have, however, insisted that the results from the 27 had already been verified in the presence of all agents and computed in the final tallies. David Muthoka, KTN News.
Now, for the first time in history, the electoral body IEBC will be heading into a presidential petition, a divided house, while the chairman of the committee